Yo, what's good peeps? I'm gonna take a look at 10 things I absolutely love and hate about Cuphead, so make sure you keep it locked.
Now go!
Now, I've been playing video games for multiple years now and consider myself to be pretty much of a hardcore gamer, but by no means was I ever prepared for how difficult this particular game was. Since its release, people have been talking about the difficulty of Cuphead, but I've always thought that it was a little bit of an exaggeration before playing the game, or always said it can't be as hard as they're making it out, but I certainly was in for a shock when I first loaded this game up. Now, having a challenge in a game is always a great thing in my eyes, and the difficulty in Cuphead doesn't by no means kill the experience of the game, but it does come a time when you might want to throw your controller at the screen after the 100th attempt of trying to do the first level. Even though the game is punishingly hard at times, this to me makes the game even more addictive. Now, I know that may sound crazy to some people, and people will look at this as a torturous game, and believe me, there were so many times I wanted to break my controller, but then found myself saying like, let me give this level just one more chance. There was even a point when I was actually going to give up playing this game, and then an hour later I was still rinsing the game. There's a great balance between challenge and also having fun, and this game certainly has it down to the T. That certainly has you coming back for much more. Now, this to me is just a little bit of a nitpick because I do actually find the game enjoyable playing co-op, but if you are new to the game and both are novice at this particular genre of game, I found that having two people on the screen at the same time, especially with all the enemies and the other things going on the screen, makes things a little confusing at times, which resulted in me dying even more than when I was playing solo. But don't let nothing take away from the fact that you will have a real laugh when playing with a friend, but at the same time be prepared to be extremely distracted. Now, as a huge fan of animation and even the early Disney cartoons, I knew from the very first moment that I saw the announcement trailer for Cuphead, I knew that I was going to love the art of the game, as the overall art is absolutely amazing. I love the old school visual style that surrounds the game, and through each of the levels you will see so many nods to the 1930s cartoons back in the days. The animations are also something which has to be applauded, as the added detail and just the small things here and there add so much to the look and feel of the overall game. I can only imagine how great this game is going to look on the new Xbox One X in true 4K definition when it drops. Now, I don't know if it's just because I've been too keen to get into the action of the game rather than paying attention to the story, but to me it just felt that the story didn't really add much to the overall experience of the game. Now, in terms of the story, Cuphead and his brother Mughead end up in debt to the devil through gambling, and the only way out of the debt is to travel around the Inca Island settling Satan's score. I found it a little bit forgettable and pretty much skipped through most of the plot, and as I mentioned, I don't know whether it's due to the fact that I just really enjoyed the gameplay itself rather than the story. And don't get me wrong, the book style of the animation and everything of how the story is told does look absolutely awesome. I love the drawings, but I just wasn't engaging enough to be a big element of the game for me personally.
This match will get red hot. You're up!
As I mentioned earlier, I absolutely love animations and cartoons, especially the old school ones such as Tom and Jerry back in the days. And one thing I loved about those particular old school cartoons was actually the music, as they sometimes didn't even have any dialogue during those cartoons, but the music was absolutely something that actually set the tone and the emotion throughout the old school cartoons. And to me, that is exactly one thing that I found with Cuphead. The soundtrack is amazing. Even if you're stuck on the same level listening to the same song for 100 times, it still never gets old. Now, in order to get one up in the game, you will need to aim to master the parry system from the get-go, and whilst it's not really that difficult, sometimes identifying when to parry and not is added to the challenge of the game. There's been so many times where it felt like I've timed my parry to perfection, only to lose the life, which definitely becomes so frustrating. Not sure if it's a bug or whether it's just me thinking that my timing is great when it possibly not, but there has been a few questionable moments when just trying to parry here or there does result in me losing quite a few lives. Yo, there are so many boss battles in Cuphead, and like everything in the game, they do present a challenge, but that doesn't stop them from being really fun. I've personally died close to 50 times during a single boss battle, but after each victory of a boss battle, you do feel that great level of satisfaction. All of the boss fights have still frustrated me at some particular point, but the positives just outweigh the negatives in this department when looking at it from a satisfactory standpoint. Plus, seeing all the forms and yet again the art style of each boss is just absolutely awesome.
Here goes.
As another quick tip, and just to say I will create another video looking at some of the tips and tricks for this particular game, is to make sure that you do change your buttons on first play. I think the way the buttons are mapped doesn't really work in my favor, especially the dash and the jump. This is not a deal breaker for the game, because as soon as you put in a couple of hours here or there, you will become used to the controls, but at first it just comes across a little bit odd that the controllers were mapped that particular way.
You're up.
The fact that we see this particular genre of game back in 2017 is absolutely amazing. I remember playing the likes of Mega Man, Metal Slug and similar style games back in the days during my Super Nintendo heyday, and just remember how much fun those games were. And literally during my quest of aiming to complete Cuphead, it did bring back so many great memories of those particular games that was addictive enough to always have you craving for just a little bit more, regardless of how hard it may appear. I think it's great to see this genre of game have such an awesome impact in the gaming industry, especially in modern times.
Final verdict.
I'll start by saying Cuphead certainly isn't for everyone, as you will literally want to smash your controller to pieces if you're not prepared for the test. But with that being said, this game is filled to the brim with quality, and for those who are pursuing a game that presents a challenge, this game is certainly rewarding. Some gamers might feel that the difficulty prevents the game from being fun, but I found it totally the opposite. Maybe on my first hour of the game, I did think that I probably wouldn't have the patience to sit through the entire game. But believe me when I say there's just so much to love, and with the challenge just being enough for you to give it one more try, I think it's definitely a great balance of challenge meets fun. I absolutely love the graphics, the music, but the gameplay is something that I really do appreciate. In my eyes, it certainly rejuvenates the genre of run and gun in modern times and keep the fun factor and the addiction in gaming. For those who own an Xbox One, I personally will say that this is a game that you should really consider picking up if you want a great challenge in a game. I would go as far to say that this is probably one of the best Xbox One exclusives that I've personally seen in such a long time, and might actually be contender for the Game of the Year, well, at least certainly in the top 5. But I must warn you to make sure that you do add padding to your TV, as your controller might end up in the screen. Anyway peeps, let me know in the comments below if you've had the opportunity to play Cuphead yet, and what do you think of the overall experience from the game. If you enjoyed my rundown of 10 things that I love and hate about the game, don't forget to hit the like button, and also do feel free to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content on the channel. And until next urban gameplay video, we definitely say peace out people.
Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for more cool urban gameplay videos.